not to get started too late, want to get going here. Just some quick housekeeping items, and then we'll turn it over to Phyllis um, for her dialogue on tips and technical interviewing. And then the majority of this is going to be all you guys, question and answer, whatever you want to hear or say or ask to Phyllis. Then the floor is going to be all yours. That's the purpose of this, is to engage you all. So absolutely feel free to ask. Towards the end of the session, there will be a ton of time for question and answer. When it gets to that point, absolutely engage in the chat throughout. Starting now, feel free to introduce yourself, your program, where you're from, and share your LinkedIn too, right? This is great for networking. So feel free to put your LinkedIn there. That'll give the speaker as well, before she gets started, an idea of who's here and what programs and everything too. So absolutely feel free to do that. And again, once it comes time for questions at the end, we'll have a ton of it. But even as Phyllis is speaking, feel free to put any questions you have in the chat. And there's also a reactions icon at the top. If you click that, there's an option to raise your hand. You can do that, and then we will enable both your microphone and camera so you can ask questions at any time. And I forgot to mention this, Fariel, but feel free to go ahead and start recording. That never fails, me mentioning it. So sorry. Um, Awesome. So we'll go to slide 2 of 4, access and accommodations. Your experience here at Southern New Hampshire University is important to us. It is our policy and practice to create an inclusive and accessible learning environment. If there are any aspects of this presentation's design or delivery that present barriers to accessibility, please notify the following online students online accessibility center by emailing oac@snhu.edu or by phone at 866-305-9430. Campus students, Campus Accessibility Center by emailing cac@snhu.edu or by phone at 603-644-3118. And SNHU faculty and staff, Human Resources Office by emailing hr@snhu.edu. Many of you found out about this event through Handshake. If you did not, totally fine. But FYI, that in Fariel in a minute or two, we'll put a link with this in our career services contact info in the chat as well. But feel free, absolutely, to check out Handshake at any time for events. We typically get 30 to 40 a month that are posted with employer partners like Pearson. So your one-stop shop for finding anything. Obviously, it is jobs too on there, networking, and anything and everything on Handshake. So if you didn't find out about it on Handshake, totally fine, but absolutely refer to Handshake. Your SNHU username and password should suffice for all of you as login. All right, and then lastly, and then we'll hand it over. And Fariel, by the way, Humkar, she's a colleague of mine in career services here. I should have mentioned I am on the career services team here at snhu.edu. And again, my name's Peter Bartel. If you did not hear it at the beginning, I work in the employer relations team within career, and Fariel is a career advisor working on that team within career services here for our students. Here's our contact information if you need assistance with anything career readiness related: resume writing, interview tips, job search, coaching, anything. A to Z, they got you covered. cocecareer@snhu.edu is the email. There's a phone number there as well, 888-672-1458. And then you see our website and a bunch of our social media on the bottom as well. So I'm going to unshare my screen and let's get to the meat and potatoes of this. I'm going to hand it over to Phyllis. But again, before I do, just one more reminder. If you have questions, there will be a ton of time at the end for them. So please, throughout the presentation, put them in the chat. If you haven't introduced yourself yet, put that in the chat. I see a bunch of people have your major, your name, your LinkedIn, but absolutely, as Phyllis is speaking, I'm sure questions will come up that you have. If you don't have them already, put them in the chat. Fario and I'll keep track of them, and I'll make sure they're addressed in order received at the end. And again, as a second option, you can click the reactions icon if for some reason you don't have access to the chat, and then click the virtual raise hand, and at the end I'll be addressing those as well. So Phyllis, you definitely have the floor. Thanks for attending, and feel free to introduce yourself and take it away.
All right. Thank you so much, Peter. And thank you, everyone, for joining this evening, morning, afternoon, depending on where you are located in the world. My name is Phyllis McHorton, and I'm a Scrum Master at Pearson for the Service Management Platform team, which is a global platform for internal customers utilizing ServiceNow and ITSM application. Pearson is the world's leading learning company, and we provide products and services to anyone interested in a lifetime of learning. We are a UK-based company with over 30,000 employees globally. I will say in 2020, our CEO, current CEO, did come from Disney. So we are actually moving towards more of digital platforms, gaming, and things like that in regards to our products and services. So all of those things are exciting for our company. I did see a couple different majors that were coming in: software development, business, data analytics. So I appreciate each one of you attending today. I'll tell you a little bit about myself because the path to technical and technology related jobs are it's not traditional as it used to be. So I actually have a bachelor's degree in biology and I have a master's degree in educational technology. I actually started out teaching science and social studies, and then I started teaching pharmaceutical sales reps on Salesforce. And Salesforce is a CSM, customer service management tool. In order to train the pharmaceutical reps, then I had to learn the software. And that was my path into technology. And then I went to a company for 9 years based out of Chicago. And I worked with implementations for customers in regards to Remedy. And Remedy is an ITSM tool, which is in the same marketplace as ServiceNow. And so from there, I ventured to Pearson, and I've been with Pearson for 6 years. Started out as a business analyst, and now I serve in capacity as Scrum Master. I also serve as a digital and technology hiring ambassador, and I'll talk to you a little bit more about that as well. But I just wanted to start out with the majors that I saw in the chat. Then I wanted to let people know that there aren't just engineers that we actually need in the technology space. We need all types of opportunities. We have all types of opportunities in digital and technology. That is what we call our line of business. In our Durham office, which Durham, North Carolina office, which is near RTP, then that is the hub for most of our digital and technology employees. However, we have offices globally. So I'm going to speak to you a couple minutes about technical interview best practices. First, I just want to begin with the business model changes that we've all seen over the past couple of years. Therefore, the first information that I would like to provide is the type of interview. So you can actually have in-person interviews where you want to make sure you arrive on time. A lot of companies have remote interviews, so you actually want to know the platform. As I engaged with Peter, then he asked if I use Teams, and that is the platform that we use for our communication. However, we do have Zoom as well, and there are numerous other platforms. So you want to make sure that you are familiar with the platform, that you log in early, and if you can actually test with someone, then that would be helpful as well. Another type of interview are group interviews where you might have panelists. So I encourage you to ask for the roles of the panelists. What capacity does that individual serve in the company? How do they have influence in the person that they're going to hire? So I would ask information in regards to the roles of the individuals that will actually be serving in the panel for the interview. There are always some general basics in regards to interviews, such things as researching the company. You want to make sure that you can go to LinkedIn and you can look at people that work for the company, and you could actually reach out, because this will prepare you for questions to ask in regards to your interview. You also have to remember that interviews are dialogue, so it's not one-sided. There is reciprocity in the interview process, and you want to be comfortable enough to be able to ask questions to the individual that you're interviewing with. Be prepared to talk about yourself. It's okay to toot your own horn. I am a remarkable facilitator, and it is a Google platform that empowers people to be able to articulate their accomplishments. So it is a 90-minute workshop, and if you're interested, you can look up I Am Remarkable. You can become a facilitator as well, or you can attend one of the trainings, but it gives you the opportunity to learn that their mantra is, it's not bragging if it's facts. So if it's factual, then it's not bragging. You're actually just stating the truth about your skills and your resources. So go ahead and do that. Um, Make sure you have actionable and quantifiable statements on projects that you've led or applications that you've developed. Since there are so many different roles in technology, then please make sure that you embellish the information that we have in regards to the tips based on the role that you have. So if it is a project manager role, then no, you won't be developing applications, but you want to make sure that you are able to talk about things that are actionable and quantifiable in regards to projects that you've led, projects that you've worked on, or maybe been a team lead, things that you have initiated. Then all of these things will be really important in your voice in regards to the interview. We all know the common questions like strengths and weaknesses. Why are you interested in the position? Qualifications. Why are you the best person for the position? They always ask you, describe a time when you had a problem at work. So sometimes that's difficult. So go ahead and start thinking about things that may have been challenging, may have been pain points at previous positions, or even in your schoolwork. And then how did you handle that situation? How did you come up with a solution for that team? How did you handle a difficult employee? Then you would be able to talk about that as well. Also, know your resume. So you want to make sure that you have your resume. You sent it to them 2 months ago. The interview is next week. And we want to make sure that you have, they've studied your resume. So you need to know exactly what is on your resume and be prepared to talk about it. Be prepared to talk about horizontal and vertical growth, and be able to articulate what you have done and what you have completed in regards to your work or school experiences. Analyze the job description. So this is really important because they have the scanning devices in order to ATS for you to pick up different words, keywords for the jobs that they post. So you want to make sure that you do analyze the job description. Even when you're applying for jobs, then make sure that all of the information that they have in the job description is also in your resume. So if there are any things that you don't know, such as acronyms or maybe applications or processes that you're not familiar with, then go ahead and look them up, because you want to be able to speak intelligently to each of those items that are listed. Some of the things that you can avoid is, I don't know. So, yeah, we don't know everything, and that is fine. So, instead, you might say, I'm not familiar with that, and be quizzical about it, because, hey, that's something that I'm going to research when I get home. Or if you only have a basic understanding of a subject, then you might say, I have an understanding of that. Or even if it's something that's similar or synonymous to that particular process or application, then you can talk about that. With technical interviews, it depends on the position. So that may range from project manager to business analyst to the developer to quality assurance engineer. So you want to gauge any of the tips that we're talking about today based on the position that you're applying for. All of them are relevant in some capacity, but it definitely depends on the position. So technical interviews are more, most of the interviews are concentrating on technical proficiency and aptitude. Again, it goes back to the type of position. So if you're presented with a problem, then how do you navigate the process for solution? How do you use your problem solving skills? How do you deduct something that would actually be beneficial to that company? So those are the types of things that, yes, we are interested in your technical proficiency. However, we're also looking at the adaptability of being able to navigate certain issues that may have. Every single day I come into work, there's something different. And that's what makes my job exciting. That's why I love it. But every single day, there's something different. So you have to be able to be agile and flexible and patient and be able to always be thinking about how you can mitigate risk and then also shine. So you want to shine, so think about some of the ways that you can assist your company with making it more lean and more efficient. Don't negate process. So there are standard processes with associated tools. So do your research on industry best practices. Right now in our ServiceNow platform, we actually use the Agile module. So it's important as a Scrum Master that I actually am familiar with that process. So you want to be familiar with processes. Don't negate that and concentrate heavily on just the technical pieces. You also have to think about the different processes that are industry best practices. And then when I say industry best practices, someone in manufacturing may have different processes than someone in finance or someone that is just a technical technology organization. So you do want to concentrate on processes and know processes as well. You also want to know the complete software development life cycle. Don't put your head just into focusing on the code. You want to be able to also talk about things like testing and defects, and retrospection is important as well. So vulnerability is not a negative trait. We are all flawed. And what an interviewee wants to hear is that, how did you learn and how did you improve? So please never think that you talking about a particular issue that you were not able to help with, or something that you were not able to resolve as a flaw. It's not. So please do not take that as a negative trait. Also, because Pearson is a learning company, then we have a mantra of always learning. So make sure you research new technologies. So we actually have goals at our company for learning. And so of course, we have the platform for it. So we actually have accessibility to a lot of modules, a lot of courses, but we are constantly engaging in learning more. So ensure that if it's cybersecurity, if it's algorithms, data structures, architecture, artificial intelligence, virtual agents, networking, whatever is up and coming, then you want to make sure that you have researched it and you know a little bit about it, because then you can tell the employer how you would help to implement a strategy to a problem that they may have. Most of the technical interviews, the interviewer is not looking for a subject matter expert, nor are they looking for the perfect answer to every question. So that goes back to me saying, oh, well, it's okay if you actually do not know the answer to that question. It's more important that how you answer the question. Give it a try, even if you aren't really sure. So, in fact, with me, I am a diversity and inclusion hiring ambassador for our digital and technology line of business. So we are a subset of individuals that review all of the job descriptions. So every job description that is approved by our CIO, then we are champions and ambassadors, and we have we receive those. So what we're doing now, and it just shows with the models of business and how it has been a paradigm shift in the last couple of years. We're moving away from things like years of experience, degrees, gender exclusive language, to ensure fair and equitable hiring practices. So it gives us an opportunity to work with the hiring manager and HR and talent acquisition. We all work together to ensure that we have a good job description, that we are able to obtain candidates, so that when you actually look at the job description, then you want to apply for it. So we are looking to alleviate some of the things that actually would weed some people out. In addition to that, we also have an apprenticeship program. So our apprenticeship program is actually taking individuals out of high school, and we pay them and we train them and we pay for their certifications, and they don't have the route of a traditional 4-year college degree. So we're looking at all kinds of what we would consider maybe obstacles for people getting into technology. We're trying to alleviate that so that we can open the space for more people. And we are piloting. We're working on our second city now. So, and it has been successful in regards to our apprenticeship program. Another thing is, you want to remember that technical interviews, some of them are practicums. So you may be presented with a project to develop from scratch if you're looking at an engineering or a developer role. So you want to make sure that you don't overcomplicate. Make sure you take your time, you think about what you're doing, you think about your delivery, you think about the complete life cycle of software development. Ensure that it's bug free, and also test comprehensively. So make sure that you do your due diligence in regards to testing, and then be prepared to discuss your life cycle journey and where that was from the beginning to the end. One of the most important items in any interview is to show a level of interest or excitement in the field. You cannot say, I want to be in this field, without showing any passion towards your future endeavors. So I know that oftentimes it's hard for you to articulate exactly what you want to do. Some adults do not know what they want to do. So we want to make sure that you do have some passion in regards to your level of interest, and what you envision in regards to career paths. Because Pearson is such a large organization and a global organization, you can do absolutely anything there. So we will actually place individuals on the path to ensure that they are passionate about the things that they do. Now, if you are applying for a position that's tech heavy, then make sure you know your programming languages. Be able to talk about how you ventured into a particular code. You might want to say you favored this code over another, and maybe be able to explain why. And also, what was your succession? Where did you start? Well, you started with HTML and you went to Python, and be able to talk about that journey. So if your interview is more tech heavy, then just make sure that you are able to speak about your journey as well. And lastly, I just want to talk about our internship program. So first, again, thank you for the opportunity to speak with you. And I do wish each one of you best endeavors in your career search. I wanted to note that we do have internships, and it is a 10-week program, and in the summer. And I just finished a career fair at some universities, and it is from June to August of next year. And the internships can be gateways to full-time employment. So we, in our department, we have actually hired our past two interns. After their summer internship, we allowed them to work part-time, and then in their senior year, and then once they graduated, then they were we offered them jobs. So one just started. She took a 2-week break after she graduated from North Carolina State in May. She traveled Europe, and she started with she started as a data analyst for our team, so she just started recently, and we love having her on board. And then our most recent intern, she was actually a developer intern. So I think I see in the chat, I'm not looking succinctly, but I think I see in the chat the opportunities for our internships and our jobs. The listing is posted at pearson.com. But our last intern, she's actually in her senior year, and she's working for us full time, I mean part time now. So always think about that, whether it's at Pearson or any other company, that internships are actually gateways to full time employment as well. So I'm really excited about having been a mentor for the past 3 years for our interns. We equip them with a business mentor, a technical mentor, and then a manager. So each of the past 3 years that we've had mentors, then I've been a mentor for our interns. It's a great relationship. They learn about the company, they learn about the culture, and then what a win-win for both of us when we are able to hire those interns and they pick right back up where they were. So I hope you learned some tips in regards to interviewing and the technical skills, and whether it's technical or if you're looking at something project manager, where you would be looking at more process related. Do you know Scrum? Do you know Agile? Then I hope you picked up some tips. Just remember to be personable, to have fun, and enjoy the experience, and just breathe. So thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Phyllis, so much. The chat was alive, so that's awesome. Students, alumni, thanks for attending. And now it's time for questions. So we're gonna get to them. We got a half hour. If you haven't asked the question yet, feel free to pop it in the chat. Or there is a reactions icon at the top. Feel free to click that, and then there's a raised hand option, and we'll call on you in order received, and we'll do the questions that came through in the chat in order
Okay.
as well. Jacqueline and Shayna, I got yours logged, so we'll be getting to those. Zach, we're gonna start with you. Zach was first to the party with the led the group with the hand raised. So Zach, I'm gonna allow your mic and camera. If you want to ask your question, go ahead. All right. Hey Zach, you should just have to click unmute and you should be good. Um,
Okay, okay,
there
I
you go.
got it. Hello. I hope
Hey,
you're well. Sorry, I've had COVID, so I'm kind of recovering, so my voice sounds a little off. That's
Okay.
why.
Hope
All
you
right.
feel better, Zach.
First off, I do have a question, but I wasn't able to access the chat the whole entire time. By the way, just
yeah,
wanted to
that's
say
been
that.
a theme. Thank you. We're working on it. Thank you, Zach.
Okay.
Okay. Here's my question. Okay. I'm a computer science major, and when I'm going to apply, like going to like an internship, majority of us will have the skill, but not have a skill to work in the company. But would you rather focus more on when I'm going into more of communication skills, even though we might not have the exact skill to finish that problem in the exact time, focus more on our like communication and trying to talk through it, or try to focus on learning just the code and trying to focus more on the code than communication within the interview?
I That's a good question, Zach. I actually would prefer for you to come with the skill sets that you have and the yearning to learn. So it's okay if you do not know exactly what the application or the in regards to the developer role that you're looking at. And so if you are able to come and you have a spirit of yearning to learn, then we are absolutely looking for you to join our team, because everybody does not know everything. And we actually, with our interns, we actually pay for certifications and trainings, whatever you are interested in regards to, it's always a project related internship. And so we'll give you ideas or maybe some of the things that we actually have, oh, it would be great for you to implement this in Flow Designer and ServiceNow. Are you interested in that? So we may have some projects that we have listed, but you actually are in control of your project.
I actually muted myself from my hand mic. All right. Okay. So pretty much, I get that. So I could just pretty much, if I don't know the exact way I need to solve for the problem, I can, if I just show my communication skills, show my opportunity of chances that I want to learn, and it will help me succeed in the interview itself. Pretty
Yes,
much, right?
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks,
Feel
Zach.
better.
Thank you.
All right. And yeah, so if you have that issue like that, I'm sure he's not the only one, because we actually had this last week. So I'm sorry I
Mm,
didn't mention it, students.
mhm.
But if you do not have access to the chat, feel free to raise your hand just like Zach did and ask it that way. We're gonna go to Cheryl, who is number 2 in line. Cheryl, I'm gonna allow your mic and your camera, and you should have access to speak and ask your question. Just click the mic button. Yep, there you go.
Hey guys, actually you just answered my question. You kind of rolled it up into the same question I had.
Okay.
Awesome. Thanks,
All
Cheryl.
right. Thanks,
No problem.
Cheryl.
Thank you.
And then one that came through the chat um, was from Jacqueline O. How does advice change if it's an internal technical interview?
Internal meaning in person, or internal meaning an employee, current employee?
Jacqueline, you can address it through the chat, but I interpreted that, Phyllis, as internal employee.
Mm-hmm. So, internal employees, some of our job postings, we actually do post internally first, and then we post, if we don't find a candidate inside, then we actually post externally. So that's usually how it works. And then some of them go straight externally. So it would have to be an employee proactively looking at external job postings, just like anyone else.
Gotcha. Thank you. Awesome. We'll go back to the live questions. Trinity Goodman is next up. So Trinity, I've enabled your mic and your camera is enabled as well. If you'd like to speak, just unmute yourself.
Hi, thank you so much. I actually have two questions. First of all, on the interview process, either internally, externally, through the web, in person, if you've been out of work for personal reasons for a long time, a few years perhaps, what would you say if an employer, a potential employer, asked why you've been out of work?
Mm-hmm. Okay. I think that's a good question, and life happens. So there are individuals that may not be in a formalized setting in regards to employment, as we technically say. However, they have other responsibilities that may even be more than 40 hours a week. So I think that it's really important for you to think about some of the things that you actually did, whether there were volunteer activities, whether it was taking care of a parent or a child. And then I just go back to vulnerability. We all have life circumstances, so it is important for you to unleash that vulnerability. Otherwise, you're suppressing the thoughts and emotions of yourself. So you don't have to disclose too much personally, but please know that people do have gaps in their employment.
Okay, thank you. That makes perfect sense.
Mhm.
Also, on your internships, are they on base or are they remote?
They are location specific. Over the past 2 years, they have been hybrid and remote. I think the ones for this year, there should be locations there. And it is actually, if you are near one of those locations, it is actually Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday in the office, and Mondays and Fridays remote.
Okay, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for the question.
Hey, Phyllis, so I'm going to lump three questions together, but they're pretty much the same. So I think I'm good. So it was, we had some curiosity around yourself, how you went from majoring in biology to becoming a Scrum Master, which is amazing. And then the two questions that kind of went in line with that. One student asked, she's new to business analytics, right? Not sure where to
Oh.
begin. And the other one said most of her experience is on the business administrative side with IT management. What's the best way to make her experience relevant to the IT field? So if you want to speak to
Okay.
this.
Yes, I love all three of those questions. So that is a good, all three of them are excellent. And I actually, as I was speaking, I actually started training pharmaceutical sales reps. And in order to train them, then I had to learn Salesforce. And that was the customer relationship software that they were using. And then my next job, I actually worked on implementations, and Remedy is an ITSM tool. And I traveled and I went from customer to customer. So I actually might be at all of the public hospitals in New York, to eBay, to Office Depot. Each time they wanted to implement the software, then I went, and it may be 3 months and maybe 6 months, and then I would ensure that they deployed. And then once they deployed, then I would just go to the next customer. So back to the question in regards to business analyst. So that is a part of being a business analyst, being able to know the software. First, you have to know the software. And it doesn't mean that you have to know the software right now. You can learn the software, because I had to learn the software. And you can do that through formalized education in regards to certificate courses that the software companies provide. And then once you do that, then the business analyst portion comes in with requirements. So being able to, first of all, you have to be able to talk to any stakeholder. So I might be talking to a SVP, I may be talking to another developer, but you have to be able to engage with the customers and stakeholders and be able to define what their vision is. And in regards to the requirements, if they actually have a field that they want these choices for that particular field, they want them to be radio buttons, or they want them to be a drop down list, then that's simply what the business analyst does. They define that. If they want it to be required, if they want it to be optional, then those are the things that that they do. In regards, it's a good question in regards to Scrum Master. So right now we have a team of about 12, and I do participate in all of the Scrum events. And that includes Scrum sprint planning, retrospection. I have a Scrum update meeting every day. And in that capacity, then I'm responsible for making sure that in that sprint, then we actually have stories that are deployed. And in regards to Scrum Master, you can actually take a course, and then most of the courses have the certificate for the exam included, and you can take that, and then you can become a Scrum Master. So they have different, they have a scale Scrum Master for those with the larger projects, and then you can do that, and then you'll be able to manage the life cycle of whatever the application is for deployment.
Awesome. Thanks, Phyllis.
Mhm,
I'm going to go a bit out of order here, but Chaz, Joel, and Miss Moreno, I see your
mhm,
questions, your hands raised, but Jen had a follow-up question, I think, to what we're speaking about now.
mhm.
So I'm going to allow her mic and camera, and Jen, you have the floor.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, she did answer my question because
Okay.
I'm new to the business analyst, so it's like I've been reading like, do I need to take, like a business like program to know certain like acronyms and codes to get in, or can I learn that if let's say Pearson, I can get on an intern program with them and then I can learn through them, or what's the best option? I don't know.
Well, actually, you can. You don't necessarily have to know the application because everyone customizes applications. And so you can actually take join a company and then you can decide on which team. Well, I would imagine that you would know which team in regards to the interview. And then you can start with your business analyst role. Now, right now, I know that they probably do have some certificates and some training in regards to business analysts. Those are things that I did not take. I was hired as a business analyst. And that was just from experience. So if you are able to articulate that process comes before tool, and learning the application once you get into the company, and then from there is gathering those requirements and being able to document those, and some workflows, and what it was, as is to be, and being able to articulate that, then I don't think you have to have formalized education. Let me just make this note. Because we are a learning company, then they have certain expectations from us in regards to learning. So we have to have at least 40 hours of learning per year as a goal. And everyone in the company does that. So, I mean, did I complete mine in the first month or two? Yeah, I did, because we're constantly learning different things. So, with that, then you can actually, there are a lot of free courses out there. So just have that yearning to learn new technologies, new processes, and every little piece, because we just purchased Credly, and they have badges. And I was in a seminar recently. And so they actually talked about how important those badges are now. And I imagine that that will be a paradigm shift in the very near future of credibility, placing those badges in your LinkedIn profile, placing those badges in your email signatures, and being able to say that I have credible knowledge because I have completed X, Y, and Z. And so with that, it doesn't mean, for me, I didn't have formalized training in regards to business analyst role. However, I know that they do have certain programs now. So I would just look at some of the free courses that they have out there. If there's something that you want to set yourself apart from others, then you can do that.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that's kind of what I thought. Because I mean, like I'm taking my manager or business management right now, so it's like just doing that. I'm like, I don't know if I can squeeze in like a program right now. I mean, it's so I just kind of want to finish my program and then maybe look into that. So thank you.
Yeah. So if it's business management, then I think that that's actually sufficient. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to know the tool before you're onboarded.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Jen. Awesome. Let me see here. Chaz, we're going to go to you next. Just let me get you enabled. Your mic is enabled and your camera, so you have the floor. And if you click unmute, you should be good to go, Chaz. All right. We'll go to the next person. Chaz, if you end up figuring out coming back, feel free to raise your hand again. I lowered it for you. Joel, I'll go to you. You're up next. I've allowed your mic just now and your camera. You have the floor.
Hey guys, first off, thanks for the time. This is great. I was just wondering if you guys had any tips for reaching out to recruiters. Sometimes it kind of feels like all these websites, everybody sees the postings and the cold applying is like so diluted. I was just wondering what's the best way to reach out to recruiters to kind of follow up on submitting your resume or application?
Yeah, that's a good question. I know that I physically went to career fairs over the past couple of weeks, and people handed me their resumes. So I don't think that that is not a good idea. I think that we have the open space of LinkedIn. So when I talked about going to a company and seeing the individuals that might work at that company, and then also being able to see what their titles are. And if that's something that you're interested in, then I don't see any problems with you direct messaging them and reaching out and saying, hey, I would just like a little coffee chat. Virtual coffee chat to get a better understanding of the culture. I'm really interested in this company, blah, blah, blah. So I don't see anything wrong with that. In regards to our talent acquisition team, I don't necessarily know that they are accessible. So we know who our talent acquisition, aka recruiters, are internally, but I'm not really sure how they post on the web.
Gotcha. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good question. Thanks so much, Joel. Miss Moreno, we're going to go to you. I am enabling your mic and your camera. You have access. And feel free to unmute yourself. Just click the speaker in the upper right, the mic. Should be good to go. All right. We'll go to the Miss Moreno. I'm going to lower your hand here and disable you again. But if you end up needing to ask again, feel free to. Shayna had a question that came through in the chat. Shayna McGuire, she said, can you differentiate between horizontal and vertical growth and provide an example of each?
Okay. All right. So horizontal growth, and that's a great question because when I have sat in on speaking engagements of our CIO, she talked about how she had so many horizontal changes. So horizontal means that it may be the same pay grade, however, it's completely different talent. It's completely different position. However, it is no trajectory in regards to moving from a manager to a director to a VP. That would be considered vertical growth. Horizontal growth would be if I am a business analyst, then in my, and then this is just hypothetical, not necessarily Pearson. But if you are a business analyst and then you want to look at a financial analyst or you want to look at a data analyst position, then you are able to do that. And then that will be considered horizontal. So horizontal meaning no trajectory, it's not a raise, it's not a promotion, but you are actually learning a new skill. So the reason that that's an excellent question is because our CIO, because of where she is now and in our executive team, then she talked about how valuable that was, that she did not know everything. So if she did not know coding or she did not know anything about enterprise architecture, then she went ahead and took one of those positions, and it was a horizontal move, but she was able to learn and gain those skills, and then she could move on vertically. So that's an excellent question. A lot of people do look at horizontal positions versus vertical. And also, in addition to that, it you increase your skill set. So you know even more.
Thank you so much. I thought that was, yeah, her and Joel's was awesome too. I'm going to skip to another one Shayna asked because I'm also curious about this one. Shayna said, I've heard Agile prioritizes creating working software over extensive planning. How well do teams at Pearson address maintaining work-life balance for employees with this approach?
Okay. So with in regards to flexibility, Pearson is a very flexible company. We have the best benefits that I've ever seen from an employer. We actually have things like parental leave, tuition and reimbursement, all of the insurance benefits that you can think of. We have employee assistance programs. So we have a lot of benefits and resources available to us. And I myself work remote. When the pandemic hit, then our new CEO came in, and we actually had the option of remote, hybrid, and completely office. So I chose remote because I have been remote for a while, and in my role, then I can continue to do my job that way. I do go into the office intermittently, but I will have to say that they allow you to be flexible. They are empathetic. They know that things happen, and I don't have any issues in regards to any types of flexibility that I actually need, and the benefits are wonderful.
I'm glad you brought up benefits because I feel like that's something people don't pay as much attention to as they should, right? It's all about, well,
Ooh,
salary's not good, you know, um,
yes.
not even considering it. So
Yes, absolutely. And that's a good point, Peter. We actually have something called total reward. So our salary is listed, but then all of the benefits. We even have 3 days for volunteering. And then we also have 2 social justice days. And so actually that's 5 volunteer days that we get. And in addition to personal days, vacation, and sick. So Peter, you brought up a good point that benefits are really important. And so when you are negotiating your salary, or negotiating the um, taking on a new position, then those are some of the things that you need to consider. I have a friend that works for Microsoft, and she learned that skill in regards to just making sure you get what you want, and benefits are very, very important. So actually, a company would have to show me a whole lot more for me to leave Pearson, just because of their benefits and the flexibility that we have.
that's awesome. Yeah, amazing. Um, Jovi, we'll go back to you in the live chat. I'm gonna enable your mic and camera. You have the floor. And if you click the mic in the upper right, you should have capability to speak. I'll um I'll disable you for now, and if you'd like to raise your hand again, feel free to. And we'll go to the next person. Melissa, I'll allow your mic and your camera, and you have the floor.
Hi, thank you. So my question is just kind of, I guess, more relative to myself personally. I have been a registered dietitian and in leadership roles for almost 20 years, and now I'm in school for information technology. And so my question to you is, have you seen individuals be very successful with that transition from the clinical world? And you talked about your background in biology to the informatics IT world, because I find we do a lot of the same tasks, but we call them completely different things. So a lot of times individuals automatically assume we don't have skill sets that I think maybe we do. And what kind of advice do you have, either organizations for me to join, or anything that can help propel me into the next career?
Okay, good question, Melissa. You do have transferable skills, and so you do have the skills needed. With not even talking about your information technology path that you're on now. So again, it goes back to what I stated earlier, the yearning to learn. So if you have that capacity that you actually want to get into, and for our line of business called digital and technology, what I will also want you to think about is we also have we actually produce products that are related to nutrition. And so you can always bring that in, that because you actually would have some type of experience with that. In regards to organizations, I really can't think of any organizations right now, but I would do some research. And what I want you to take away is, don't be deterred by you being a dietitian and then moving into technology, because we do need, you will have obtained that experience and education that's needed for those technology roles. And so it shouldn't be an inhibitor for you. So don't be discouraged by that. I just can't think of any organizations that you would join right now, but I would do a search and then see if there are some, and maybe even meetups, groups of people, and then that's a part of networking as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Awesome question, Melissa. I'm glad you
Mhm.
brought up meetups. That's great to meet a lot of people and
Mhm.
different walks. And I'll tell you, with networking, talking about that, I'll just share. I always try to go into networking events. You go in with one intended outcome, right? Um, if I tell myself, if I walk away with an unintended outcome from that event, then it's successful. Because that to me means you're thinking outside the box, right? So even when you're thinking about networking students or alumni, and maybe looking for that next opportunity, maybe that's what you walk in for. You come out saying, "Wow, I just talked to this person in a totally different field, and that sounds interesting," right? That's an unintended
Mhm.
outcome. So, like
Mhm.
Phyllis was saying, go to those meetups, anything you can
Mhm.
do to kind of get
Mhm.
exposure. Um,
Mhm.
Jovi, your hand is raised again, so we'll allow your mic and allow camera. You have the floor. I don't know if you have access to chat, Jovi, because it looks like you're still trying to figure out the mic issue. Sorry about that. But if you do have access to chat, feel free to chat um, and uh, and let us know. Marco, I'll go to you. Um, Next in line, Marco Barnett. I enabled your mic and camera, and you have the floor.
I just want to comment on what Melissa was talking about. I work in technology for a hospital, and informatics is blowing up. Um, I think more of what you need to look for is learning the applications. Like Epic is big, and most of the hospitals nowadays are using Epic. So if you can learn more about Epic, or learn more about whatever information system that your hospital is using, or wherever you plan to go, I think that would benefit you. I mean, just an example, my AVP for my department, um, 3 years ago was in informatics. She's now an AVP of an information technology department. That's how much in demand people in that field are. So yeah, just keep going the way you're going, but
Mhm.
look to learn more about the application. I think that would benefit you.
Thanks, Marco. Awesome. Um, we had a question in the chat. Fariel asked, so Phyllis, if somebody's in an interview and they're asked a question, and Fariel, if I'm not phrasing this right, feel free to come off mute. But do you have any recommendations if somebody's asked a technical interview question and they didn't prepare for about a technical skill they may not have?
Mhm. Yes. And so that goes back to the point of never saying, I don't know. And this is from one of our Amazon hiring managers. I had lunch with him a couple weeks ago, and then we were talking about this discussion, and then that's something that he said, he reiterated. So never say I don't know. However, you could say that you're familiar with it, or you would like to get to know, or even let them know that, oh, okay, I would love to do some research on that. And then, but you don't have to say that you don't know. But, and also, please don't. field.
Awesome. Thank you so much. It is at time, so we'll conclude here. But thank you so much, Phyllis, for coming on and giving your time with us. Everybody attending, some awesome
Awesome
questions.
questions. Yes, thank you so
th-
much.
This is recorded, so if you did register through Handshake, it will be in the comments section of Handshake is where we'll put it. Phyllis, I'll let you have the floor for any closing remarks. But
Okay.
thank you for attending.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Peter, and your staff. And thank you to all of the students that joined as well. Very valuable, engaging dialogue that we had. And I appreciate you. And if you ever need to reach out, then please do so. And I will be happy to answer any of your questions. All right.
Thanks so
Thank you
much,
so much.
Phyllis.
Enjoy
Have a
your
good night, all.
evening. All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.